Welcome to this episode of How to Really Run a City, our deep dive into the mystery and mastery of big city leadership. Brought to you by the generous folks at Diversified Search, the nation's only female-founded and female-led executive search firm, and our friends at Comcast NBC Universal. I'm Larry Platt of the Philadelphia Citizen, a nonprofit, nonpartisan media organization that seeks to reinvigorate democracy in the American city where it was born. Check us out at thephiladelphiacitizen.org. If you've listened to past episodes, you know the drill. If you're frustrated by the bickering and finger-pointing coming from Washington, D.C., well, this podcast is a testament to the notion that there are really three political parties in America: Democrats, Republicans, and mayors, who have no choice but to be practical problem solvers. On this episode, the stars of our show, former two-term Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed and former two-term Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter, will be joined by New York Times bestselling author, public intellectual, and Centennial Chair and University Distinguished Professor of African American and Diaspora Studies at Vanderbilt University, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. The mayors get into the troubling polls surrounding the potential black vote with Dr. Dyson, and as the nation's preeminent hip-hop professor, Dr. Dyson will dissect the power of rappers' endorsements in the forthcoming presidential election. Dyson also makes an interesting affirmative case for Joe Biden, and even goes so far as to say that he'll be stealing a Mayor Nutter idea and pitching it to the White House at his next visit with the president and his staff. If you know Dyson, you know that you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. We were unable to, which is why this episode will be the first of two parts, because once Dr. D starts preaching, can't stop, won't stop. So here's the first part of a terrific conversation.
I'm in my car yesterday on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And I pull up to, now this is a call, Larry knows a little bit about this, but Kasim, I put together this partnership of Penn, Columbia, and Johnson C. Smith University on a research project, big research project involving poverty, income inequality, and social mobility. Mm-hmm. And so Clay Armbrister, who was my first chief of staff and my classmate at Penn, subsequently became president at JCSU. Charlotte, HBCU, blah, blah, blah. He retired last summer. So they have a whole new leadership. So we've been trying to get this meeting with the leadership team at JCSU to basically kind of restart our thing. Because a lot of changes and, all that, right? So I pull over at my normal parking space at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm in this call. And I turn to my left and I see a man on his knees on the concrete island in the middle of Broad Street. And then a woman stops her car in traffic. So northbound on Broad Street, stops her car in traffic and gets out to go help this man. Yeah. So I'm looking and I'm dealing with this call. And so I put them on mute and I shout out the car window. I said, "Man, is he okay? Did he fall?" Because I didn't see him go down. Mm-hmm. She helps him up, brings him to the sidewalk. I then put the call on hold, get out of my car, call 911 for him, give him my name, give him my phone number, the whole thing. Come back on the call and tell the folks, kind of what happened. And, they're making comments in the chat and all that. Finally, the EMS vehicle arrives. I can hear it coming around City Hall. Yeah. I jump out of the car because they were going somewhere else. I point them over to where the guy is. And then I'm literally in the middle of southbound Broad Street, directed traffic. So that the cars go around the EMS vehicle. And then I help him park. I'm putting the hand out. I'm doing the hand signals, the whole thing. So
I'm telling you, man, Michael Nutter from there, man. I know they. What? So I love that.
They deal with the man. The lady who originally got out of the car, the thing is over. They're taking care of him. She turns. She says, "Are you Mayor Nutter?" I said, "Yes, ma'am."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. She said, "And you look good too."
That's what I'm talking about. Did he live?
He's
Did,
fine.
did the guy live?
He's fine.
Okay,
He's
all
fine.
right.
No, he
Just
was
wanted
just
to make sure. Just wanted to make sure he lived.
yeah,
I don't want
they
you
took
to
him
get
away in a
sued.
wheelchair. He lived around the corner at the residences at the Ritz. I just
The funny thing about that is from the citizen standpoint, driving down Broad Street, to suddenly see the former mayor out there directing traffic is a pretty funny
and
sight.
they figure I fell on hard times.
That's right. That's right.
Damn. What do they say? How the mighty have fallen.
No, I know the current mayor is like, Mayor Nutter's trying to show me up again. He's out there directing traffic.
Right.
Well,
Anyway.
and by the way, I should plug. We had a great event last week. For the fourth year in a row, the Citizen hosted the only city in North America that does this, the Integrity Icon event, where we honor city workers, 5 city workers who have performed their duties above and beyond the call and exhibited integrity. And we had Mayor Nutter came and gave a great talk about the meaning of integrity in public service, and it was such a nice event because, as I said at the time, no one talks about the planes that land safely. That's not news. And similarly, city workers, yes, there are some bad apples, and we in the media focus on that. But there are people who
Bad politicians too.
Exactly. But as you pointed out, it's often a thankless job what these folks do. So kudos to you for your serious comments the other night.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But no, it's good. And Kasim would do the same thing if he saw somebody. I keep having that story, the Willie Brown story. I've told it many times. Of course, attributed to you and your conversation with him when you asked him, does it ever go away?
It never goes away.
No, it never goes.
It only lessens.
But I'm still calling in fire hydrants running, and I see semblance of an early start of a water main break, and it's like you just can't. You can't let it go. Can't let it go. So anyway.
And is that part of that is the adrenaline rush, but it's also like it is your city. Like if you're for 8 years, everything you looked at, this is you're responsible for everything in this geography. And I imagine that is something that you're then conditioned to consider at every moment, right?
All the time. So anyway,
I spent the weekend I was in New York this weekend.
Oh, where?
And I was in New York. Patti LaBelle had her 80th birthday celebration. So it was a fine affair. And I flew up. I flew up.
Of course you did.
And yes, I did.
Guy goes to more parties.
So, there you go. Yeah.
I know. Last time it was Willie Brown's.
Willie Brown out in California, Patti LaBelle in New York. I mean,
we danced until 1 a.m. too. The point I'm making is this. It was so nice to go to a city and not look at it like a mayor.
Yeah.
I got in the car. I didn't look to see if there was a new building I didn't see how the High Line was doing as compared to the Atlanta Beltline. I mean, it literally was so nice to just wait to pull up to my hotel. When I was in office and I would go to another city, I looked at everything.
Yeah.
I was constantly comparing it to my city, something I should have, something we needed, a great idea, something I saw. Certainly when we were in New York, because when we were in office, Mayor Bloomberg was there. So he was on fire.
They were doing
and it was just nice just to get in a car, man, and just, wait till the guy told you to get out.
Right.
I was absolutely
fall asleep, whatever. many a driver has said, we're here, sir.
But it's been 6 years, it's like 6 years, and I'm finally becoming a normal, feeling like a normal person and not thinking, man, we should have that. Man, New York has this translucent building that's along the water. I wanted one of those things. The building literally changes colors.
What?
And I wanted one of those buildings so bad. Oh, it's a beautiful building. I think it's a Gary. Hmm.
Is it
Wow.
I
new?
wanted one so bad.
Is it
No,
real?
it's
Is
not.
it? It's not a new building? No. Okay. I
No,
have to check
when we
that.
get off the phone, I'm gonna send you a picture of it. The
I would
next
love to
time
see
you're in
it.
New
I
York,
love to see it. Yeah. No. When I go
every
back.
time I go to New York, Robert De Niro has a restaurant called Le Conde Verde that I
Mhm.
eat at every time I go to New York. It's a must.
Send me that too.
So yeah, so you gotta go. You gotta get the grandma's ravioli. And I go every time. And so it was so nice that I actually sat outside. And I'm not an outside seating guy,
Yeah.
but I sat outside. And you pass this building that I'm going to send you a picture
Okay.
of that I
No.
want. And
Definitely. I want
I
to see the
wanted one in
building, and I want
Atlanta
to know about
so
the rest.
badly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if somebody would have built one of those buildings in Atlanta, they would have got some friggin' subsidy. You understand me? I wanted that building so bad.
You wouldn't apologize at all. Yeah, damn right.
I would not have. I did it.
You'd be like,
I did it. The elections,
you'd be like
you want
Jack
the
Nicholson
election day?
in A Few Good Men. You're goddamn right. I gave him the buttons. You goddamn right. I called the code red.
That's right. I called the code red.
Yeah, I paid for half the fucking building. Absolutely. Next question.
I mean, we moved NCR's headquarters from Gwinnett County, one of our bedroom communities, wonderful place. And they had a headquarters for NCR. And Bill Nudie, the CEO, and I became friends. So they moved their headquarters right by Georgia Tech, right
Mm.
in the heart of the city. And man, this council person ran up to me. What are you doing? You putting in sidewalks and roads and doing all this stuff. They don't need the money. I said, but they're getting it.
But they get it.
And now you got 5,000, you got 4,000 people in the city with average salaries in excess of $72,000 a year. And this headquarters for NCR sits right along 75, 85. You can see it from the highway.
Good job.
That's
Good job.
that's
Yeah.
economic development. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah, it
that's
is.
growth.
Well, it's also called not getting
Change the
distracted
whole corridor.
by,
Yeah,
by,
change
by
the whole
those voices out
corridor.
there. What'd you say, Christine?
I said it changed the whole corridor, but it just
Yeah.
goes to, I was just demonstrating what I would do to get this building that changed colors
James Collins.
in Atlanta.
That's fascinating. Hey, before our guest, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, joins us, I wanted to just I want to make sure we don't ignore the news of the day and get your reactions to the Trump verdict. Guilty, 34 counts, 34 of 34. And where were you when you heard the news, and what do you think the significance of this will be?
I was sitting on the 60th floor of the Four Seasons with some friends yesterday. I think I got it about 10 minutes. I got a drop down or something on my phone. I said, damn. They said, what's wrong? I said, I just got convicted. They're like, what guy? Donald Trump. It was stunning. It was stunning. I'm not exactly sure what it means, other than he was obviously going to use it for more fundraising purposes, and it fits his whole narrative persecution.
No.
But I don't know.
Mayor Reed, you mentioned earlier you were I don't know if this was purposeful, but you insinuated yourself amongst a bunch of Republicans when the verdict came down.
Oh yes, I went to. Well, no, that was after. So
That was
I
after.
watched it. Yeah, I got comfy cozy on the couch because one of my best friends in the world and I had a bet on the outcome.
Okay.
We had a matter together in New York, and so he had one set of beliefs and I had another. So we were talking trash on WhatsApp, and so I sat down and got comfy cozy for the
What were the
result.
stakes of the bet?
Well, what side were you on? What?
Krispy Kreme donuts. I said he was going to be convicted. There was no question.
There you go.
And so my friend said he was not, and he's a brilliant attorney, and so he had all of these reasons why. And I just kept saying, my responding WhatsApp message was, "We're gonna see." So he had this brilliant analysis.
Let's see.
I said, we gonna see. So, needless to
Why did
say,
he
I was
think he was
comfy
not going to be
cozy.
convicted? You see, what was
Man,
what?
we don't have that much air. I mean, he basically said that the questions and the amount of time that the jury was taking led him to believe that he, may have an opportunity. And so,
Nah.
we've been friends for more than 30 years. So, the kind of banter that you can
Yeah. Oh
have
yeah.
with
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah. That's
person who
total. That's full.
you went
Full
to
on
law
trash.
school with.
Full on trash talk.
Yeah.
I
So,
just, I
so
didn't
I
put much
felt the
legal
need to go and
analysis.
have a Trinidad, which is the cigar that Michael Jordan smoked when he won championships, and to go to this wonderful cigar spot in the bastion of the Buckhead community, where we have so many good friends, and enjoy it. I was in a terrific mood.
That's
But as it relates to the country, I think that the person that we should be talking about as an exemplar is Alvin Bragg, in terms of his diligence, the case he bought, the way that he's handled himself, the sacrifices he has made is consistent with why we had this podcast.
Right.
I think he represents the best of public service. I thought his following press conference, when 99.9% of us would have taken some opportunity to say, I told you so, because of all of the vitriol he caught for bringing the case first.
Yes.
I mean, folks who tear you apart have amnesia pills, an endless supply of amnesia pills.
Well, I didn't see
And
it.
they're talking to me.
What did he say? What did he not say?
He gave his team all of the credit. There was no gloat in him.
He said I did my
matter of fact.
A couple times he said I did my job.
Go ahead, Larry.
A couple times he said I did my job. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was flawless.
Yeah.
And I think you should take a look at it, Michael, when you have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's the person that I'm thinking about today.
It takes
just
a
the
lot.
sacrifices that he made.
It takes a lot.
He has a family.
Yeah.
And it's just everything that we have this platform for, I think he represented yesterday. Right thing for the country, right thing to show that no one is above the law.
Right.
And that's how I feel about yesterday.
If we stay on that for one more minute, and obviously it's impossible to predict, but and you are a premier lawyer. What does a judge do with this in terms of sentencing on July 11th? I mean, that no one seems to believe that he's going to jail. So what's the sentence?
I think he looks at 500 similar matters. I also think that he has to be influenced by what happened to Miss Mosby in Maryland. The state's attorney in Maryland, who was convicted and who our friend Dan Crump represented. I mean, she got probation. She got home confinement. I think she had never committed a crime in her life. She had a stainless record.
Right.
She used her own money to buy a piece of real estate and withdrew money out of her own account prematurely during COVID and was convicted and had a sentencing and was facing jail time, and the judge didn't put her in jail, but he did give her probation and he did give her home confinement.
Right.
And so I think it's totally appropriate to look to what happened in that instance. But if you're asking what I think is actually happening, I think they're actually looking at a large sample of cases that were similarly situated, similarly charged, similar convictions, and what happened in those cases to make sure that the decision is in the middle of what's appropriate to those felons. And he is preparing a case, and he is preparing a decision to ensure that he's not reversed or doesn't make an error that's reversed by the higher court in the state
Yeah.
because of the resources that this felon has
Yeah.
to appeal his case.
Yeah. I think I would have to say many Americans must be surprised that the felony conviction does not prevent running for office.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised at that.
I mean, it's just, it's kind. I mean, we're not talking about a parking ticket. I mean, it's kind of a stunning circumstance. But it'll, they will, because this is the one thing they're good at. They will masterfully use this in a variety of ways to at least ramp up whatever component of that base is not already ramped up. I don't know that it brings anybody new to their party, but they'll make a whole lot of hay out of it.
Yeah, he's expert at playing the martyr, right? So
Oh, yeah.
but I also wonder if the White House basically had no comment afterwards, even though Trump in his comments were saying this was directed by the Biden Justice Department, which of course it wasn't. This is a local DA.
State matter.
And I wonder if it's incumbent upon the White House and Joe Biden to engage that as opposed to taking the high road. I feel like the high road with Donald Trump, we know where that leads.
Yeah, I think you're right, Larry. I think that Democrats need to understand intensity.
Right.
This election is going to be about intensity, and the downside of the conviction and the fact that he's a felon is that I think it drives intensity on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear intensity on the right, and you'll hear intellectualism in the middle and on the left. Right. And I think if we stay in that lane, we're going to regret it.
Yeah. I said Maya King reached out to me the other day for because the president and the vice president were here. I did not go to the event. I found out about it late, and I had stuff I need to do. And I've been to a few rallies. I've been to a few rallies in my time. I want to do the work.
Maya King of the New York Times.
Maya King, New York Times. Yeah. So then the story came out later that day, and she quoted me. I was the last quote in the story, and I said it goes to what Kasim just said. I didn't use his phrasing about intensity, but I said that we could stand to be a little less genteel and a little more smash mouth. This is going to be right, and so I know, I'm sure both Kasim and I have counseled other people. Don't try to get outside of yourself. Be authentic. Et cetera, et cetera. But I think President Biden is going to have to, how like a boxer has been, they what do you call it? It's not traditional. It's
orthodox.
Orthodox, right? And then but if they're dealing with somebody that's either got an unusual style or at some point they switch, to southpaw, they're going to have to switch. This is not going to be patty cakes.
What did it put cement in their gloves?
Yeah, I mean brass knuckles, something. I mean it's because the other stuff I think just doesn't work. It doesn't work with him. Not with him.
Right. So is Joe Biden capable of that?
Absolutely.
I think he's more than
absolutely.
Capable.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You kind of want to do it. I mean, it's not generally
the good thing here.
Way to campaign. I mean, most people don't wake up every day kind of wanting to do that. But you have 5 months, and this is what it is. That guy is never going to change. He's only going to get worse. And so I think you got to come into every day expecting to punch somebody in the mouth.
The other thing is the president doesn't like him, and he ought to let it show.
Yes.
He doesn't like him. He ought to let it show.
Yeah.
He has reason not to like him. He ought to let it show.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking the other day, to see our guest is here. Everybody remembers 2016 on the debate stage, and it was not, they had lecterns, but they kind of moved around. And, that stalking that Trump did of Hillary Clinton, right? And I'm assuming he didn't want to be the quote unquote, kind of angry lady kind of thing. But I mean, that's a moment where, but I think she could have pulled it off a little bit because he's so creepy and
and said, "What is wrong?
Get the fuck away from me!"
What is wrong with you? Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Right.
And then all night long, you just stay on. It's like again a boxer with a jab. Right? I'm gonna just keep this in your face. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right? It's like all night long. With it, that's the way you got to treat a guy.
Yeah.
Welcome, Professor.
Well, yeah, let's.
Hey, how y'all doing there? I'm enjoying the conversation. Please keep going.
Let me officially introduce this episode's guest, New York Times bestselling author, public intellectual, and get this title: Centennial Chair and University Distinguished Professor of African American and Diaspora Studies at Vanderbilt University. That is a mouthful.
I had to pay a lot of money for that. I had to pay a lot of money for this.
No, I think they had to pay a lot of money for that. I'm delighted about it.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears.
Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Full disclosure, Dr. Dyson recently published a brilliant essay for us at the Philadelphia Citizen on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake rap battle, positing it as a proxy war for so much that is infecting the zeitgeist. And if you haven't read it, it's required reading to understanding this cultural moment. So check it out at thephiladelphiacitizen.org. And I thought Dr. D would be a perfect guest today because of the intersection of our fragile state of democracy and the fact that, once again, America looks to Black voters to save it. And Dr. Dyson's next book is entitled Represent: The Unfinished Fight for the Vote, which will be out in September. And he's also told me he's planning a 30-city tour to make the affirmative case, what we were just talking about, the affirmative case for Joe Biden. So, my friend, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, welcome, my man.
Brother Platt, Mayor's Reed, Mayor Nutter, how y'all doing?
We're doing well.
We'll have an applause machine soon, Professor. I guarantee you.
Well, it's just good enough to be in y'all's company. I love that ludicrous reference. Move, get out the way.
There you go. There you go.
Appreciating that.
That's my man.
Rolling up on that. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Hey, Dr. Dyson, I wanted to reach out to you after the recent worrisome New York Times, Philadelphia Inquirer, Siena College poll that has Biden losing to Trump head-to-head 40-36, with Trump drawing 18% of African-American support. And here in Philly, Trump is, according to the same poll, Trump is getting 23% of the Black vote, Mayor Nutter. So you better get your ass out there. Now, those numbers may be an outlier, and I know you've talked about that there's some mathematical questions with these polls, but there's no question that Trump is doing better than ever with Black voters, particularly young Black men. And the mayors and I have talked about this before, how so much of that is being fueled by rappers' support, like Meek Mill here in Philly, Lil Wayne, Kodak Black. You take your pick. And
Meek
as the
Meek Mill supporting,
well, Meek tweeted an apparent endorsement, and then he when called on it, he said, "Oh, I really don't know nothing. Don't take me seriously." But he did so. And I know you're tight with him, and so maybe you could pull a little intervention. But as the nation's preeminent hip hop professor, like, what the hell is going on out there?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's distressing to say the least. When I hear Sexy Red, oh, he gave us checks during COVID. You got to understand the basics of government. Donald Trump didn't write you a check because he ain't got no money, because he's a bad businessman. We've all seen that. It's the Congress who allocated these funds. And you think that during COVID, Donald Trump gave you money. The very COVID pandemic that he allowed 1 million lives to be lost because he acted so poorly and slowly. So you think that's adequate compensation to get $1,000 check? You got to really break it down for him. And then I think a lot of this is about two other things: that he forgave the individuals, right? Lil Wayne, I understand Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne got a pass. I was like, he the man. I love him and don't speak English. I don't know what you're saying in terms of the language. Right, okay. To my Latino brothers and sisters, you see what I'm saying? I ain't put that on y'all. My point is, he's got a reason to claim ignorance. He's got a reason or to claim joy because he got an individual hookup. All right, your individual hookup ain't got nothing to do with the political structure and the social world in which we live. So if you're Lil Wayne or a few other black people that he forgave, I get you. Then beyond that, though, they think that he is a kind of heroic figure because he's got swag. Now, I'm talking to two mayors who had plenty of swag, right? They got real swag. Donald Trump has borrowed swag or referred swag. He ain't got no swag on his own. And the thing is that they think it's swag because he's got, you know, he was seen before politics, a rich guy with women who had a bunch of social capital, and it was on TV all the time. But now that we're boring down, we're drilling down to the real truth here. It's a shame and a trauma and tragic that so many younger black people have seen Donald Trump as a reliable source of political legitimacy, or who feel that he can get the job done. And so it's both an indictment of our side being the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, and so on. It's not that Joe Biden ain't doing a great job. He is. I mean, he's doing a hell of a job. But thinking about another rapper called Platt the Rapper, he's like, you can't be out here tweeting, bro. You can't be putting it in where people don't understand it. As Martin Luther King Jr.'s daddy used to say, put it where the goats can get it. You know, don't be up here highfalutin, philosophical, Tillichy and Deridian deconstruction. Get down here on the ground with Wes Montgomery, where the people are understand what you up to. So that's number one. Number two, the perception of age, which is ludicrous to me. But at the same time, you know, they ain't that far apart in age, but the reading of the culture that Joe Biden is somehow slow. I've spent time with Joe Biden. I know these mayors have spent more time than I have. But he's sharp as he can be. We went, 8 of us who were professors and historians and so on, went to meet with him. We were supposed to meet with him an hour and a half, give our little spiel. He's very much. That man stayed there asking questions of each one of us, 15 to 20 minutes apiece, which meant we were there for 3 hours or more. And he was as sharp as he could be and so on. So we've got to do a better job of saying, I'll take that old guy, that 81-year-old white man any day before I take a now convicted felon, as our president. And that doesn't make him blacker, y'all. For those of you who said, oh, this makes him more identifiable. No, it don't. Because most black people ain't convicted felons. And
right, exactly. Right.
Like, most of us ain't doing that.
The other part,
no contact with the criminal justice system at all.
There is far more evidence that he's a racist than he is progressive. It cares about black people.
Oh, come on. It keeps coming out. Great point.
The Biden administration is going to have to take that on directly, and they have work to do. I happen to think that Plies has been the most articulate hip hop artist on giving Biden meaningful advice.
Yes.
And people need to be listening to him and others. But what Donald Trump is doing is he is working these people in a personal and a direct way. And if President Biden and Vice President Harris don't do the same, I have longstanding relationships with artists and involving them in politics. You have to spend time and sit with them and explain, and you have to do it repeatedly. And you have to do it in small groups by people that influence the culture. And so Vice President Harris and President Biden and their teams need to get folks who they respect in small rooms and make their case. And if they think that that's a waste of time, they're going to lose.
I want to go back to one thing you said earlier,
Mm.
and this is a campaign thing. You talked about the student loan debt relief.
4.7 million people
So
helped.
when you think about you got the White House, you got the campaign, a lot of that is, up here. I don't know if people see the visuals, but high level.
Right.
But there are students who got that debt relief.
Right.
Some of them have to be Black and
Right.
brown
Yes.
and other colors.
Yes.
The infrastructure money. Somebody is working on a bridge right now
That's right.
as a result of that money.
That's true.
The chips, they got the whole alphabet soup of 6, 7 bills, passed bipartisan, more than anybody else in modern times, possibly since Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yes.
Where are those people on a video on Facebook, TikTok, Talk the Clock? Like, there's all these different.
Right.
I don't even know how to access anything. But somebody saying, my name is Joe Schmoop.
Right.
I'm 23 years old. I just graduated from X, Y, and Z. I have no student debt
Right.
because of Joe Biden.
That's a brilliant.
I grew up in XYZ place, my family, my this. I had all these loans we couldn't pay, or I didn't know what I was going to do. I have no student debt today.
Mm-hmm. Great point. Great commercial.
I'm so-and-so. I'm standing on this bridge that I'm working now this job that I'll probably have for the next year or so because of the infrastructure money that came in. I was unemployed 3 months ago.
Right.
I mean, on the ground, in places that people would see and be able to visual and see, feel, and touch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real place in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in San Francisco, 100 cities.
Right.
Real people talking about
In
real
Detroit,
stuff they got.
in Philly.
What'd you say?
I'm amen. That's brilliant. In fact, I'm going to the White House for the Juneteenth. I'm passing that message on. I mean, I'm gonna send it before then, but I gotta tell that's just brilliant, man. I mean,
people, man. That's the translation.
JP, we need that applause machine. We got to get the applause.
Let me do it right. Let me do it right here, bro.
Well, that's it for this episode of How to Really Run a City. Next time with Dr. Dyson, we'll get into Dyson's Bobby Womack theory of governance. You heard that right. And as the author of 2 critically acclaimed books on Martin Luther King, we'll hear Dyson's take on how King might approach today's challenges. As always, if you have questions for the mayors, ideas you'd like to see us explore, or if you want to invite us to visit your town for an episode in conversation with your leadership, drop us a line at podcast@thephiladelphiacitizen.org. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and tell your friends about us. We really want to widen the conversation, because by 2050, something like 2/3 of the world will live in cities. As cities go, so goes the nation, and so goes the world. For now, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.